Hello, this is Stalker Kitty here on Pixelated Something Contraption, and I'm here today with Death Cat. Hello.
Meow.
So, Tom, tell me about the origins of Death Cat.
Holy shit, that's a really long story. But started off like almost 10 years ago in Detroit, Michigan area. It was a two-piece. It was me and a drummer. It was like experimental thrash punk, and then it mutated over the years into like a mixed media thing. I don't know.
What other kinds of mixed media and art do you do?
We incorporate comic books and video and some like theatrics, mostly that stuff. But like whatever works, whatever seems necessary, or whatever seems most
We
unnecessary.
do a lot of collaborating with robots, mole people, and giant rats, and Christmas tree people, and
Those are just
stuff like that. Yeah, skull kitties.
It's just people we know though, or non-people that we know.
They're people that you know.
Well, they're creatures that we know.
He doesn't know any people.
Well, he's referring to Oshka, and Oshka's like a
Talking
long-time
about the
family
robot.
member. Well, Demo Dog's just part of the band. He's a robot, but I wouldn't say he's mixed
He's
media.
more like
We
family.
associate with him.
He used to self-synthesize himself as part of the band's musical element, but he hasn't been working right.
He's
So
actually
he's
the
kind of
second,
sitting out
the
this
second
album.
incarnation. The first one died apparently.
Speaking of different incarnations, tell me about your dreams. What's the craziest dream you've ever had?
My dreams typically suck. Like, I've been trying to write them down lately. They're usually just mix-ups of my daily events or like childhood memories, and every once in a while there'll be some sort of like poltergeist like in a house like roaming around. Maybe that's as interesting as it gets, or weird like mixtures of like cities that are like put together, and it's always like some post-apocalyptic thing. I can never tell if it's a post-apocalyptic thing or if it's just Detroit and like freeways. But I don't really have very interesting dreams as much as I'm interested in dreams as something more than just dreams.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
Like I feel like there's like a lot to be like maybe learned, or like I've met people who like have dreams where like they can like kind of predict or see into the future, or seeing certain entities or different worlds, and like I feel like there's like a lot of relevance, and like I don't know, like I'm interested in all that stuff, but my own dreams personally aren't very interesting.
I hear that was
I
interesting.
said you can create the future with your mind. You have to do is be able to see it and create it in your mind, and then the more you visualize it, it becomes reality.
Manifestations, yeah.
So do you think you're saying you think when you dream you're manifesting while you dream?
I
And
mean, it can
do you,
be,
do you,
yeah.
can you are you do you recommend controlling your dreams?
Well, I recommend dreaming while you're awake and focusing on it, but, my dreams when I'm asleep tend to, mimic reality, like my teeth falls out, my penis falls off, and, everybody's disappointed in me, like my family. It's just like real life, basically.
I've had a lot of those dreams where like I remember one I had when I was 12. Well, I'll have like an eyeball, or I remember one dream I had when I was 12. I was like sitting on the toilet and there's a penis growing out of my shoulder, and then it turned into an eyeball. But yeah, I mean, I guess both realities are kind of like a dream. It's just like we remember this one more.
But if you believe in yourself and you can achieve it, so basically if you can visualize your dreams in your waking moments, and the more you visualize it, the easier it is to, actually, be able to create that reality with your mind.
Yeah, they say if you focus on like lucid dreaming, that leads to astral projection stuff. A friend of mine actually back in Michigan was telling me he thought everybody had lucid dreams. His whole life he's been like having lucid dreams and about like standing in lines for donut shops, and they were like, "Sorry, we're out." And he goes, "Nope." And then he just all of a sudden can manifest donuts in his dreams. So if dreams are like reality and we can manifest donuts,
Why wake up?
Well,
Yeah.
basically, I think like humans are a lot more powerful than we think we are, and so I think the trick is to be able to realize that in our mind, and be able to realize our own power and our own potential, and be able to see that, and take charge of that.
Also, like sometimes I think of dreams as like extrasensory. Like, have you ever had the experience of dreaming and having more senses? Like I've dreamt that I could the sun was setting and I was sitting on the water, but like the feeling I had was like I can't describe it, like
Synesthesia.
more than like
Yeah.
being on acid or anything. It was like a bunch like feelings you can't
I know what you're talking about. It's kind of like synth and sage. Like they
Heightened.
all it's all heightened and the
like
senses
smell,
blurred
colors,
together.
taste, sounds.
I don't know if I've had that in dreams. Most of my dreams don't even have sound, or they used to.
In real life, have you had any paranormal or supernatural experiences?
The ghost of Barry White stole my keys.
Oh yeah, that did happen in that weird guy's house in Van Nuys who tried to rip us off on some
Yeah.
recordings, and it was like, he was terrible. He was like,
He told you Ryan and this guy got in a fight because the guy was trying to tell Ryan how to play.
he was
play
like,
his
don't
bass.
use pedals. You're just gonna drive me crazy when I'm editing. He didn't want to use any pedals on the songs. I'm like, well, that's what we do,
Yeah.
you know. And
But anyways, they had an old tape reel-to-reel machine or whatever. I thought we had to record on analog, which was a huge mistake that ended up costing us like $1,000 and like driving around insane. But anyways, they had a machine that Barry White used to use supposedly, and then I remember the moment so we were recording. Ryan had left, our drummer had left, and then I remember at one point walking from the bathroom, gazing down the hall. And as I passed from the hall into the room where my keys were, I had this weird moment, like looking at that room, and it looked like a library. It didn't look like the room it actually was. And I felt this weird, it was just weird, and it didn't make sense, but I was just like, whatever. And then later we couldn't find my keys anywhere, and I'm like looking under the couches, we're looking outside, like it's gotten dark, we got a flashlight, and then I'm like, okay, I lost them. And then we hear like the dude's girlfriend like screams from the house, I found them, they were on the dresser. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. Like either she put them there and she's trying to make it seem like I put my keys in their bedroom to like start some shit, or like they're like pranking me. And then they're just like, oh yeah, stuff like that happens, and they didn't really want to talk about it. And then he's like, we've had like remotes literally disappear, and like they didn't want to say.
I think they were trying to steal your car, but
Yeah, well, no, nobody wanted that car. It was an '89 Honda.
well, I think they were trying to steal it, and then they realized it was an
Actually,
'89 Honda.
I actually bought my car off of their street, coincidentally, funny enough, or a street over. But anyways, I guess Barry White stole my keys.
I guess the lesson we learned is never record an album with some random guy in Van Nuys with a studio in his living room.
And then I saw some aliens, and I was kind of like, a ship. I don't know if they were aliens, but it was like a conscious, like, weird thing.
What do you mean
in
you saw
Washington.
aliens?
That gets into a really long
It's
story.
RJ's friends, basically, right?
Well, yeah, RJ's friends. Like,
they gave
we
him
were on
an
tour in
offer, they were
Olympia
like,
2 years ago. Yeah, a lot of weird shit happened.
well,
I saw blinking lights,
they
and
gave him
then
an offer, and they were like, you know, you
correspond
have
with
to
what we're
sell
thinking.
your soul to become rich and famous, and he was like, you know, considering it, and then he was like, nah, I don't want to, like, you know.
Okay, so back to this ghost thing, though. So, what are your thoughts about living and dying? Do you obviously believe
It's the
in
same
ghosts,
thing.
afterlife?
I think ghosts. I don't know. I guess there's like different versions of them or whatever. Like there's like they say there's like the imprints. I've never experienced anything with ghosts, but like I don't know. I guess I believe they exist. Other than that story I said, but I've never like seen a ghost.
Well, it's just a
But they're
cycle.
just people. Yeah, it's just people not wanting to go back into like the spirit realm or the core of energy. It's like
just
they're
these
lingering under their
cycles of,
egos or personality lives.
Death and rebirth that we get trapped in, you know what I mean? They go on for thousands and thousands of years, and you die and you get reborn, and, you know, it's kind of move up and down sometimes. Sometimes, you know, you just stay trapped, you know, and I think the ghosts, you know, sometimes just get trapped in this existence and aren't able to either get reborn or reach liberation, essentially.
They're scared or they're angry or they're confused.
Sounds kind of like
Stubborn.
I Ching, like a movement is accomplished in 6 stages and the 7th brings return.
I
Kinda
Ching, like
yeah.
with the coins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
chapter 24.
The John Cage actually wrote his songs using that. I
A lot of people have.
Selling them.
Some advice that you could give anyone about anything.
don't kill yourself. It's very tempting, but it's just gonna prolong the problem.
Yeah, if everybody else can put up with it, you can too.
Don't do drugs, and if you do, make sure you do good drugs. You know, don't do.
Nah, don't even do.
Do the right drugs.
What are good drugs? What are the right
Be
drugs?
angry about.
I mean, the right drugs are things like LSD, MDMA, mushrooms.
The more letters, the more problems.
What about marijuana, do you think?
Marijuana can be
Yes.
hit or miss. Some people.
It's like anything. You can use or abuse anything, and drugs are just like what get all the attention of abuse. But like you can abuse you can abuse LSD, you can abuse mushrooms, you could use or abuse a pencil. You can write good things, or you can stab somebody in the face.
Well, I think the best way to really achieve what you're trying to go through if you're using psychedelics is meditation, but it takes a lot longer and a lot more work. So some people, try to take the shortcut. But it's kind of like eating like microwavable food. It's like eating like microwavable macaroni and cheese rather than eating a home cooked meal of fresh ingredients.
Wait, what's like that?
Using psychedelics versus meditating.
Oh,
But
yeah,
I feel like
it's a
meditating,
cheat.
you can't like you could meditate for 20 years, and I feel like I've been meditating and chanting a lot, but you're still not gonna like hit the drama or like intensity of like doing one of those drugs.
I think like psychedelics. It's like I remember a friend like. She said like it's like cheating. It like gets you out of your element to another place that you could achieve through like certain meditation, and it takes you to that realm, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're mentally or emotionally it's not the point. It doesn't take you to like the point or the core of like things. It can be like an enlightening experience, but like we said, you can abuse it, and you'll get to a point on psychedelics where you'll just like hit a wall, and there's just like I'm not gaining anything from this other than I'm just doing it because like I'm trying to escape or whatever. But I feel like like Ryan said, in combination it's like
I think you
it's a
got to
great
find
thing.
the right teacher though, because I've been those periods, but then I found this meditation teacher, and she was like, she taught me how to open the soft spot up on the back of my head, and then like I turned into water, and I saw my consciousness as a ship sailing across the water, and at the other end of the destination was like my deepest desires. So I was able to like really open up and project my consciousness across this this water that was going up to the cosmos, like through these galaxies, and I saw my deepest desires, and I realized them, and I saw myself just arriving.
Our upcoming show is already passed by the time you've watched this, and we're working on an album called Dodo Bird Dirt Eyeball that's kind of been in the works for years, and I'm really excited for it. It sounds nothing like our other records. It's probably our lightest album. It has the least amount of noise, but it's...
Probably had like 3 different Death Cat lineups playing on it too.
Yeah.
At least 2 drummers, 3 drummers.
Three drummers technically on it, 2 different keyboard players, and...
I'm on all of it, I think.
Yeah, Ryan's on all of it.
I think some of it we might have recorded at the house in Van Nuys or no.
Yeah, the drums and the guitar.
So, Barry Goldwater's on it.
He's on everything.
Barry Goldwater's on everything.
You heard it first from Death Cat.
And second from me.
I wrote these questions and I don't know how to answer them.
The least interesting thing about me is I can whistle okay.
You'll whistle anything.
I can try, yes.
Mediocre.
Kind of cool.
Well, no, the most interesting thing about me would probably be I was once in a Boy Scout summer camp jazz band as the bass clarinetist.
Most interesting I would say about me is I like to drink water.
Dude, I love water.
And the least interesting thing about me is, I like books. Like, I like to read lots and lots of books. You can go anywhere in a book. You know what I mean? Like you're smart if you read books, so everybody read books.
You're smart if you read books. Everybody read books.
Everybody read books.
Everybody read books.
So...
Greetings, thank you for listening. We're Death Cat. This song's called Purple Light Cruise, and it's about some weird shit, actually.